Good morning and welcome to our meditation time entitled The Art of Noticing by Ron Wolf. We're deepening our practice of noticing, sparking creativity, finding inspiration, and discovering joy in the everyday things of life. Today's meditation encourages us to pay attention to the stories we tell ourselves. Pay attention to the stories we tell ourselves. I invite you to take a few moments to center yourself as we prepare for the meditation. The meditation for this morning is entitled Pay Attention to Stories We Tell Ourselves. I once went on a long run on a brutally hot morning. The temperature was already in the 80s. Many organizers of running events will cancel the start time temperatures above 80. A few miles into the run, I realized that my pace was about 30 seconds per mile faster than my normal running pace. This might not seem like a lot, but for a recreational runner like me, it makes a big difference, especially for a hot day like it was. I realized I needed to slow down. My problem is that once I get started at a certain pace, I tend to have a hard time slowing down. Even when I try to slow down, I find myself going back to the pace from muscle memory. I was getting pretty far into the run and my legs were starting to ache. I realized that the best option was for me to run for a while, then walk occasionally to give my legs a chance to recover. This way I would still meet my distance goal rather than cut my run short. But I was resisting inside. I figured out the reason I was resisting is I didn't want people to see me walk. I run frequently in my neighborhood and I never walk. I was afraid that if people saw me walking, they would think I was weak. This was the story I was telling myself. Whenever you're feeling resistance, fear, anxiety, or reluctance, it's good to ask yourself, what is the story I'm telling myself? It's good to pay attention to the stories that you're telling yourself. Is it really true or is it just a story? There are two concepts that will help unpack this and help you to pay attention to the stories that you tell yourself. The first is the spotlight effect. Psychologists have shown that we tend to believe that people notice us more than they actually do. Contrary to popular opinion, we're not the center of their world. They're not shining a spotlight on us. We're the center of our world, but nobody else cares all that much. I realized this during my run. Nobody really cared if I was walking. I was reminded when I first became a runner about a decade ago, I like to talk about it. And it seemed like nobody cared to hear. Now I never bring it up. The other trap is comparisonist. Comparing ourselves to others is a big losing game. We can always find people to make us feel good about ourselves. We can always find people to make us feel bad about ourselves. There are people who walk around my neighborhood, run around my neighborhood, and bike around my neighborhood. They're all different than I am. Their pace has nothing to do with my pace. When I first started running, I read that Ryan Hall ran a half marathon in under an hour. It blew me away. That's 13.1 miles in less than 5-minute mile for every mile. I can't even run 1 mile in 5 minutes. I can't even run a quarter of a mile in 5 minutes. It was then I realized that I shouldn't compare myself to others in this running game. So I finished my long run. I did it by running and walking. I still felt pretty good because I finished without injury and without collapsing. And I did it because I started paying attention to the stories that I was telling myself. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord cause God's face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord look upon you with favor and give you peace and focus today to pay attention to the stories that you're telling yourself. Shalom.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you,
All right.
Pastor.